Hi everyone, and welcome back to Matt's Plants. So possibly a slight variation from the normal video, this one. It may also be the last video I post on the channel. I'm finding myself a little tired of social media in general, and for this channel particularly was set up during the very early days of lockdown in the UK. As I was a fan of people like Roger and Ed's Orchids, and I decided I needed something to take my mind off the general situation in the world. So I set up my own channel. Obviously, I've posted some videos of things I'm interested in, carnivorous plants, orchids, and some other sort of rare tropical things that I grow. But I'm going to spend this video, if it is the last one, going out on a bit of a ranty bang. Because it's Friday afternoon, I'm not really doing a lot, so I was just surfing around on the internet and I came across this newsletter from July from the Solihull Orchid Society. So it says at the top of the page in big red letters, Orchid Societies closing. Over the last month, we have been informed that the Birmingham and Midland Orchid Society and the Pleurophthalid Alliance are closing. So I'd like to talk a little bit about this because I'm familiar to some extent with both of these societies. So first of all, it goes on to say the Pleurophthalid Alliance was driven by two individuals who are both of an age that they cannot continue and nobody else wants to take up responsibility. Right, so sticking with that group, I attended a Pleurophthalid Alliance meeting in the UK before COVID, 2018, 2019, 2018, I think. First of all, it took some serious detective work to figure out that there was a UK-based Pleurophthalid Alliance Society. It involved some serious Googling, tracking down a few people, contacting a few random people on Facebook, getting the details of where they met, which fortunately wasn't that far from where I was living at the time, and arriving at this sort of obscure community hall and walking into a room full of very few people. I'd like to point out some of the people I met there were very nice. They were very pleasant. The two talks I remember were of a very high quality, and I enjoyed them a great deal. Generally, the meeting was kind of low energy, not particularly well organised. But that's sort of a common theme I've found with some of these societies. So I can see why they struggle. First of all, they have absolutely no internet presence. So finding out any details was, as I say, very difficult, even for me. And I spent a lot of time finding information on the internet. They don't use email. They don't use Facebook. They don't use Instagram. They don't use WhatsApp or any of those things. So I actually, when I joined, I went along and they said, you can join as a member. And I think it's £5, it's a very small amount of money. And I said, I'm happy to. I kind of wanted to join because in the hope that I'd keep some of maybe the society going. So they passed me a piece of paper and said, give us your details. And I said, this is my email address. And the lady looked at me and went, oh, well, we don't do that. Okay. I mean, at that point, I'd had an email address for about 25 years, I think. This is not new technology. I'm in my late 30s, and I've had an email address for a very, very long time. I don't understand why somebody running a society would not instantly utilize email, certainly now in 20, something, to keep in touch with their members. So I joined the society. I paid my £5. I joined the society. And they sent me handwritten letters for a couple of years. And I'm assuming as I've moved house since then, they probably still send handwritten letters to my old address because I had absolutely no way of getting in touch with them. No contact details, no email, no website, no Instagram, no Facebook, nothing. So as I said, although the talks were high quality, I enjoyed being there. Some pleasant people. I was mildly patronised by one gentleman, but that's fine. I can cope with that. So now we move on to Birmingham and Midland Orchid Society, which I attended several times because I used to live not all that far away. I want to be nice about Birmingham and Midland Orchid Society. I really do. First of all, there were several issues with it. First of all, the location. So they met in a religious hall, Quaker Friends Meeting House in Edgbaston. Well, first of all, whilst I have no problem with organised religion, I am an atheist. I've done things in my life that would make Quakers very uncomfortable. If nothing else, I drink alcohol. So walking in there was kind of very freaky. It's obviously very quiet. It's a very religious building. There's a certain sort of atmosphere about it, which is quite hard to overcome and doesn't necessarily give the right atmosphere for a secular society. So my first time I walked in, as I said, I'm in my late 30s. I'm also quite a big guy. I'm not a difficult person to ignore. So I walked in, and the first thing I got told was that the orchids on the display table were not for sale. To this day, I don't really quite know what to make of that. But anyway, I went along, I said hello to a few people, and I sat and did a talk, and I went back a few times. I joined and went back a few times. And again, it's the same problem. They don't have a website. They did have one briefly when I joined that they had no control over because it had been set up by a former member. I offered to do them another website and sort of met blank faces. I even tried to transfer the DNS of the existing site into my name so I could have control of it, but got nowhere, and nobody on the society seemed to care. The meetings themselves were incredibly low energy. The guy who was chairman just had no idea how to work with the society or introduce people or sort of maintain any enthusiasm in the room. I said, I don't want to be rude about him. I'm sure they were all lovely people. As individuals, I met some very pleasant people. Some of the talks were spectacularly good, really interesting people, which is why I went. They did an auction one year for the AGM. They covered hardly anything on the AGM, and the auction was very, very slow. And again, you kind of feel that's something that should have a bit of energy to it, a bit of excitement. You're looking at new plants, And they clearly had no engagement with people, no desire to recruit new members. I was there, I think the final time I went, they had a new member who was probably fitting the demographic much more, and then he was a sort of more elderly gentleman, and they still didn't quite know what to do with him. It's a new member. They were quite cliquey. They were quite. It sort of reminded me more of a group of friends that met once a month to have a bit of a chat and a cup of tea, and then would maybe talk about orchids, and somebody would come and give a talk. They weren't really set up to be a society. So again, it's no surprise really. So it says here again they're dissolving BMOS, British Birmingham Midland Orchid Society, because they only have now 9 paid up members. Well, I'm kind of not surprised, because first of all, no one was allowed to go over COVID, so I certainly didn't go and renew my membership. They have no growers. Well, again, I'm not surprised. Most of the people there were very, very elderly. They have health issues with the current chairman, membership secretary, and treasurer. Again, I'm sorry to hear that, but that's presumably because they're very elderly. They have very little monies coming in. Again, well, yeah, because you don't do anything to maintain membership, do you? There is no increase in membership, but equally, they have no website, no Facebook presence, no Instagram presence. They don't use any sort of communication tool. There is an email that comes run by one of the gentlemen who's a member. It's fine as it goes, I suppose, but again, you can see how few people are on the email thread. You have to maintain some sort of engagement if you're running a society, and it's no good then complaining that people aren't interested in joining a society. So I'm a bit annoyed, really. I feel, as I say, maybe I don't fit the demographic, but I generally feel that orchid societies in the UK have always done a very poor job of engagement, and they kind of almost deserve, sadly, what's coming to them. So that's why I'm ranting a little bit about this. Like I say, it's my final video. It's been blast. It's been great fun. I've had a great time doing it. I will continue to grow. I'm on Instagram as Worcestershire_Orchid Society. Because I had a vague idea once upon a time that maybe I'd set up another orchid society and do it properly. But again, nobody really seems to be that bothered. So I have other things going on in my life that I'll spend time doing. And that's it, really. That's my rant for today. I'll intersperse this with some pictures of some orchids. And it's been great fun, YouTube. Thank you very much. And who knows, maybe I'll come back when I feel more productive and more willing to spend some time on social media. Peace out.